It's astounding what's happened. There's only one piece of good news. My son lives out here and his wife. They got a notification yesterday their home was probably burned to the ground. Today, it appears that it may be still standing. We're not sure. But the good news is I'm a great-grandfather as of today. I was granddaughter. 10-pound, 4-ounce baby girl, baby boy. So I can remember this day for a lot of wrong reasons.
It's hard to ask the question right now as to whether or not, we are asking you on our YouTube poll, is the size and scope of the LA fires a result of government mismanagement? But when you see the guy who's at the top come in and be so tone deaf in the moment, does government have a fingerprint at all on how catastrophic all of this has been? Let's ask our friend Tyrus about it.
You're becoming like my most stable relationship.
Enough said.
Well, you know him as a regular on Gutfeld. He's a Fox News contributor. He's an author. He hosts Maintaining with Tyrus on Outkick. The resume is long, but he also comes to us on the Andy Frey Show. Tyrus, Happy New Year. Good to have you back.
Always a pleasure.
When you're watching the coverage of these fires, my understanding is you probably know that area pretty well.
Yeah, I lived in Altadena, worked there for a long time. I'm a little worried about. There's a lot of foster homes and group homes in that area, and I know they don't get a lot of press coverage. So
yeah.
I'm concerned with some of the places I used to work and if the kids in placement over there, because that was kind of the last stop for a lot of them. So with the homes going the way they are, it's a little troubling. But I think again, it just goes back to another blue city with completely qualified people who are given jobs based on who they go in the bedroom with, completely not prepared because they spend all their time with DEI and parades and not doing what's needed to be doing, cutting budget for ridiculous spending. And then now we're in a situation where they ran out of water in some cases we're hearing, or they had opportunities. And President Trump has been very vocal about California. And it's not like wildfires are new, and the fact that that they just don't do anything. And Governor Newsom's a joke. He should resign. The mayor should resign. The fire chief should be fired on the spot. Again, New Orleans, same thing. Chicago, same thing, where they're never, ever, everything's a soft target because they live in these fake realities where they think having parades and honoring diversity has anything to do with the job at hand. Your job, your mayor cuts the budget by $17 million. And the answer, and she had the best answer ever, stared off into space. Yeah. That sums it all up. That's all we need to know. Then we had the great quote. We had the great answer in New Orleans where we had a plan. The terrorist he beat it. And that's not leadership. That's the passing the buck. She didn't have anyone to blame. That's why she was quiet. So and that's the sad part about these blue city officials. They're completely unqualified, giving positions to people based on, again, the DUI stuff. And great, you have a diverse group of incompetents. Now, listen, there was a time when in my community, they would be, we're going to hire the first black this. But in our own community, we're like, we don't want a black idiot doing the job. We want the best and brightest. And if it happens that individual is black, great, awesome. But if not, if the best, most qualified person to do the job of fire chief happens to be Asian person, great. I don't care. I just want to be able to put out a fire.
Yeah.
To be in an area where wildfires this time of year are a thing. It's not a made-up construct. It is a thing. And the best that you could come up with was, we're working on diversity. To be a firefighter, you have to pass physical tests. You have to do things. That's why it seems to be more men are interested in doing that job statistically. It's not a sexist thing. And it's just ridiculous to where what are you going to do, lower the standards, just like they lowered the standards to give you the job? It just makes everybody weaker. And we're seeing the result of it. And it's, again, there's no coincidence when you see the leadership. It's the same story. It's the same people who are given jobs based on everything else but qualifications. And it's literally the most un-American thing that you could possibly do, in my opinion.
Yeah. Spot on, Tyrus, joining us right now. You're the perfect person to ask this question to, because I opened up my show talking about, the revelation of where the water is going and why it's going where it's going. And the whole country is learning about smelt today and yesterday evening. But there is a way to care about your environment, to preserve your environment, about nature. You love nature. You care about animals very passionately.
I'm avid. Yeah, I raise fish.
The left cares more about those animals than they care about humans, though. And they've been doing that for 40 years.
They don't care about the animals.
Okay.
That's the joke. They care about the funding that goes to that. They care about the charities that are set up for this stuff, for the lobbyists who get money. So they care about themselves at its finest. No, they don't. And if you told them, what does it look like, they'd look at you like they were crazy. It sounds good. It's just like the Green New Deal, complete fraud. They didn't care about the polar bears. According to them, there would be not any polar bears left on the planet. Here's the thing about Mother Nature. When you are specially designed for a certain environment, the environment's going to change, and there's nothing that the tree huggers can do about it. And if you're a small fish in a desert area, you might not make it. That's how it works. In a lot of cases, they evolve and switch, and some die out. That's the side of it. That's one of the ugly things of civilization going. But here's the thing: it didn't work. So all the effort was about kickbacks and lobbyists. It had nothing to do with smelt, because their little plan with the smelt didn't work anyways. But what they did do was they put an endangered species as someone living in the hills of California. That's what they did do. And their answers are laughable. It's always blaming somebody else. And now it's, you have to understand, these fire hydrants aren't really designed for this. And especially not when you cut the budget the way you did. Especially not when you refuse to let California use natural water resources, ice melting from mountains. You were bragging about all the dams you stopped and tore down. You just don't get it. It's laughable. And these people are going to continue to do this. I don't understand what it's going to take for the people of California, the people of Chicago, New Orleans, to realize that the left that they grew up with is not the left anymore. It's these progressive people who it's a money grab, and they put unqualified people in positions as favors. Also, it takes the eyes off them. I couldn't possibly look at the mayor of New Orleans. I couldn't possibly be misappropriating funds. Look at all the people of diversity I put in jobs. It's a virtue signaling front. And now it's come home to roost, and we had a terrorist who just basically made a right-hand turn against their plan, and California is burning down, literally. Southern California is burning to the point where it's going to be decades. And their answer is, it's kind of on the people, and because they're trying to find someone to blame. And this is where the American voter has to smarten up. Yeah. And this is why people are leaving California. This is why people are leaving New York. This is why people are leaving Chicago, because they're I don't think the general public gets it.
Yeah.
But maybe because this is going to affect a higher end of Californians, people with money that are losing, their houses, their mansions, and let's think about all the livestock and all the horses and animals that have been burnt up, and people have lost their way of life. The schools have been burnt down. Maybe this will wake up California.
Tyrus, in the wake of great catastrophe, I thought it was a blessing to watch you on the 5 after the New Orleans scenario happened, because it was good to hear your straight talk. I think what I hear you saying right now is that the people in these areas need to wake up to reality.
They got to wake up.
Is that going to happen?
Well, this is your reality. They're not your friends. I don't know. Because usually the progressives in these blue cities, usually they luck out, and only their bad policies hurt the bottom of the socio and economic. So it's the poor people that get screwed, and their attitude is it's not us, it's racism. But that's their go-to. That's exactly how they do it. Here's the situation now as to where it's hurting the celebrities that they need endorsements from. It's hurting the people that cut the checks to them. So maybe in California, now that, it's Armageddon basically there. I saw the pictures of the planes flying in from LAX. Maybe all those executive producers and all those people are no longer hey, and those CEOs who live up there and those big-time stars who live up there, maybe they'll start caring about what's going on in their state, and they'll do something about it. They'll stop supporting. They'll come out and be like, we just need someone to get the job done, qualify. We don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. It's just that they need to get the job done. We need to get actual firefighters to be the chiefs, people who know how to run the business. Let's get a police chief that actually spent time in the SWAT team. Let's start getting people that are qualified, that can handle in wartime situations. And when I say war, I'm not in terms of like a massive something bad happens, and they have the skill set and the experience to plan ahead, to be like, hey, if our little barrier things aren't working, I've got 2 warehouses full of portable ones. All you got to do is wheel them out and put the wheels down in New Orleans. Somebody who actually has common knowledge, is qualified to do the job. Stop making America such a soft target. It's sad. All this is preventable. Wildfires are a part of California, but there is management, and this is blatant mismanagement. And I'd love to see where the funding went.
Yeah. Yes, it's exactly what you were saying, too, about New Orleans. I think that's a great question that needs to be asked. Tyrus, Happy New Year to you. I hate talking about these types of things with you, but this is going to be a good year, and we're grateful that you're going to come along with us on the ride. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Take care.